Canola School on realagriculture.com is brought to you by Alberta Canola Producers Commission, SAS Canola, and Manitoba Canola Growers.
Mario Tenuta of the University of Manitoba joins us here on Real Agriculture, and Mario always has something interesting to tell us about living organisms in the soil, and talking about canola and the impact it has on fungi in the soil. Mario, it can have an impact on crops following canola in the rotation?
Right, Calvin. So canola is a plant that does not form associations with mycorrhizal fungi, and because of that, it's not feeding these mycorrhizal fungi. So when we grow crops on stubble of canola, we can be having quite a reduced population of the mycorrhiza, which, depending on the crop and some other management practices, can severely limit early season phosphorus acquisition and compromise yields in cases.
So what are some options that growers can take then to manage for that or adjust to that?
Well, one of them is the selection of the crop on the canola stubble. So for example, selecting a crop that is very dependent on mycorrhiza, such as flax or corn, could be asking for potential problems. So we often recommend that following canola stubble to grow crops that are medium to light and requiring mycorrhiza. So cereals, so barley, oats, wheat would be options. Potential, and also soybean would be an option, and then the year following those crops, then to go with more of a mycorrhizal, heavily dependent crop such as corn or flax.
Okay, what about starter phosphorus?
Starter phosphorus can overcome the population reduction in the mycorrhiza following on canola stubble. The starter phosphorus obviously would have to be placed with the seed or banded to encourage the early season uptake. So that is an option. Of course, and that will require money for the cost of that fertilizer. So with these, keep in mind these are soils that are decent testing in phosphorus. In terms of the soil test phosphorus are decent levels. It's just that starter phosphorus assists with that early season phosphorus acquisition that we may have lost through having the fungi present in the soil. Okay.
Now, growing canola isn't the only thing that can reduce mycorrhizae populations either, right?
Right, absolutely. So we can any time that we have a growing season without something that can be a beneficial host to the mycorrhiza, we can get a reduction in population because they're thriving. They need to live with plants, and without the suitable plants, their populations will drop. So fallow, either summer fallow or we're a case where we may be too wet to seed, and then we've gone without seeding that year. If we've gone without seeding that year, we can find it's a benefit just to put in a crop, even as a green manure, to encourage that we have mycorrhizal dependency and promotion of the mycorrhiza. Of course, don't do a mustard or a canola, a green manure, but another crop that would be a grass or another broadleaf.
What about tillage, just plain tillage?
Tillage will affect, because what happens is the mycorrhiza form a network that ramify through the soil that solubilize phosphorus and then translocate it through the hyphae, this network, bring it to the plant. And the tillage disrupts that network. It actually breaks it up, disintegrates it. The plant has to rebuild it, and that's an energy cost, and needs that energy to take largely from plants. So if it's not in association with plants, then it can't rebuild. And we do our tillage mostly when there's no plants. So it's really challenging for them to rebuild. So if we can go with no-till, that would definitely benefit the early season acquisition and the benefit of the mycorrhiza.
All right. Thanks for your time, Mario.
Thanks, Calvin. Anytime.